Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Dynamics Fortnite Fridays.
Where we cover everything dynamics, great and small. Welcome back from the holiday season, Bart.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. I think this is the last day we can officially say that. I think it's supposed to be a week, but with our audience, it's like it's a new year, right?
Absolutely.
So
DFF New Year, if nothing else.
coming into the new year, we have for us, we're in Minnesota. It's very, very cold. So it's supposed to be like highs of 0 degree Fahrenheit this weekend. So I actually put together a couple seasonal jokes, Bart.
Well, mine have a little bit of that ring as well,
Okay.
so lay one on me.
All right, okay. So I actually have two because they're so bad that I need to make up for it.
Me as well.
So what is a weatherman's favorite winter food?
Weatherman's favorite winter food. Sriracha.
A burrito. A
A
burrito.
burrito. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's terrible. Okay, what do you got for me?
All right. So since we are taking care of our aging parents, I thought I would do an age-related one that also has a little winter theme.
Okay.
What do you call an aged snowman?
Oh boy. An aged snowman. I don't know. Tell me.
Water.
Oh, that's terrible. That's truly terrible. Okay, I got a snowman one for you then too. As long as we're doing snowman. Okay, what does a snowman eat for breakfast? So I actually worked in the theme twice here, right? Food and winter. So what does a snowman eat for breakfast?
His nose?
Carrot. Okay, good one. Frosted flakes.
Frosted flakes.
Okay. That was actually pretty good. That's pretty good.
That wasn't too bad.
Yeah, you got
All
one.
right, so my last one is what did 0 offer to 8?
A belt.
No. Want to make a snowman?
Okay, got it. Okay.
All right.
So I went with a 0 with the belt on is an 8. So it's like, okay, yeah. Okay.
It all kind of works.
Okay, it's like it works. Okay, our content better be way better than our jokes. So what do you got?
We got lots of groans, I'm sure, but let's hop in. So,
all right.
First and foremost, Power Automate Desktop. We actually have an announcement out while the release is still live. So nice job, product team. We are getting better about this. So the December update is out. The key feature that I'm going to harp on is this little ability to add input variables to a run URL. So run URLs are super helpful if you need to be able to find a way to kick off a desktop flow kind of manually, not really manually, but with some sort of a way to do it without having to use a Cloudflow, that those run URLs are ways to get them kicked off through any way you can get one of those instantiated. So being able to throw input variables at it so that it can operate with the data it needs to do things is a really big improvement. So nice job. PowerFX is also now a preview thing. So if you like to use PowerFX for business logic transformation, and all of you Power Platform makers do, nice to know this is there in Power Automate Desktop in preview to start playing with as well. And then, I don't know why they even blogged about this, the notifications about things. We get plenty of those, so I'm not going to worry about that one. Next one, AI Builder. AI Builder is now split in two. When you click on it, it no longer, on the left-hand navigation in Power Automate, it no longer, or Power Apps, either one in the Maker portal, it no longer says AI Builder, it says AI Hub. And so they did that because they split the model things that you actually instantiate into. One of those paths is the AI models paths, and that's kind of all the traditional stuff that we have had for quite a while in AI Builder, with a lot of the pre-built stuff and even the custom stuff that has to do with things like document processing and image capture and image naming and all that kind of stuff. It's all in the models area. And there's a new area called prompts in AI Hub. And the prompts area is where all the generative AI stuff lives. And we just decided to call those things prompts because every time we're doing it, we're just passing a new prompt into the GPT engine that is in use at the time. Happens to be 3.5 turbo today, but that won't stay that way. We'll continue to evolve that under the covers, and it'll still just be the prompts in AI Hub as we go. Well, the big news, though, is we had the ability to sort of semi-create your own prompts before, but we now are full-fledged doing GPT prompt building, storing those and allowing you to share them and put data in them and all kinds of different things with the ability to build custom prompts. So how to build a prompt is, say I'm going to create text with GPT in the AI Builder connector inside of like Power Automate. And then there are some things that come out of the box. And then you can make your own and stuff data into it and all the things that I was just kind of saying. They still recommend, although it's not required, to try to put some validation in so that we can let approvals help put a person in the middle of this so that automation isn't just using the GPT engine to throw whatever it wants to throw out into the public sphere, but you don't have to. It's just a super helpful way to think about using this new generative AI capability kind of in the flow of work with workflow capability in Power Automate, or even in context of an app if you wanted to, with the ability to call that through Power Apps as well. So next one is really just an announcement. The Center of Excellence Starter Kit, they took December without a release and just kind of worked on a few things for 2 months, although I'm sure there was some vacation in there as well. So anyway, in January, the release came out. There are some nice updates to it. All of the legacy Dataverse connector references have been removed. So we're using the new Dataverse connector everywhere throughout the kit now. So it's a nice update and a few other things that are also quite nice in there. But that's kind of the big one. Modern controls. So as an app maker, we've kind of been on this journey of modernizing controls, and there are a few more things that are out here. So started with a recap. So I'm not really going to go through those. We've covered those on previous shows. Read through the details. There's lots of good stuff that has come out. Some of the new stuff that has been out just kind of recently is in the table control. There's more configuration options, and you can stylize the header and a few things like that, make tab lists, info buttons. We've fixed some alignment and wrap issues with the text connector. There's just lots of nice things, and then some previews of things that we're planning to do in 2024. So it's helpful to know we're going to be announcing those things as they come out. So I will not spend much time on it until we're actually ready for people to use them. Anyway, modernizing the controls is a big deal. These next ones are all in our finished SaaS services. So the first one is in the field service area. I've already talked about how we enabled field service with quite a few co-pilots. But the new thing is we enabled much of that for the mobile experience so that the actual field worker who's out in the field doing stuff gets the benefit of these things. And we really broke this into two core functions in the mobile app. Summarize, to try to take all the stuff that exists in all the tabs and all the forms and everything about the booking and related work order that this field service person needs to do and summarize that in a paragraph so they get the gist of what they're going to have to do for the customer when they get there type stuff, or when they get there without having to click through 15 different screens in order to figure it all out. And the second one is, as they're working, if they would like to update the details of that, like saying, I'm finished, or I consumed a product, or whatever it is that they did that they would like to be able to record, they can click that update button and just say in natural language what they did or need to record. They can even speak it if they would like to, because we're enabling the voice part of this to work as well. And it will figure out where that data needs to go or what needs to be updated from just a transition of a field from one value to another, if it's like a pick list or whatever. And Copilot will take care of a lot of that for you. There are a few limitations. There are only some fields that it grabs for the summary, and there's only some fields that it updates on the forms, but those are kind of the patterns, and it's going to be a super productivity enhancer for the core of what a lot of those field service folks do. Next one has to do with kind of our marketing functionality that we are branding customer insights these days. And we broke that customer insights into the data side of things and the journey side of things. We've talked about this many, many times. Well, there's nothing that is absolutely forcing you yet into the real-time journeys update within the journeys area. But if you were a new customer, you wouldn't even know we had an outbound module because it's been deprecated. There'll be absolutely no new investment there. It will continue to function as is. We have no plans of killing it off as something that will continue to function for now. But we are not advertising it. We're not promoting it. And all new investment is going into the new real-time journeys engine. So the rest of this blog is really talking about when should I transition? And the answer is as soon as you can for the most part. But there are a couple of features that outbound still has that we haven't reached parity with in real time. And if you rely on some of those features, you need to keep doing what you're doing until we have the capability built in to real time. We have absolutely committed to getting there, but we're not quite there yet. And they actually talk in this blog about what some of those are. But real time does scale to more contacts. It will send more messages, all those kind of things. You can transition parts, but not all. If you have some of those specific things you're still using outbound for, but you can get new stuff going in real time, take advantage of that. Here are some things that we have said for sure we're about to go build, but aren't in there yet. And we're actually looking at a bunch more things that aren't in either platform that we're planning to bring into the real-time journey orchestration. So it's gonna surpass by a long shot what's there in the outbound. And we're just kind of basically saying, if you haven't even thought about it yet, start thinking about it, because you're missing out on the new functionality, you're missing out on more scale, and you're going to have to at some point transition, because there will be a day when we get rid of the old. So I just thought it was a nice article. Let's highlight that. Next one, really important for those of you who are running our digital contact center platform. So Dynamics 365 customer service is a pretty good solution now for contact centers. Can be all in one, can be modularized, but one of the things that's not there, at least in full form today, is a actual robust workforce management solution. We do have some nice capabilities around forecasting that will help informs with data kind of what you need to think about in planning for your workforce and what the schedules need to look like and things like that, but it doesn't really do it in a robust way. So we aren't trying to call that workforce management, just some things that might help you if you decided you didn't need a full-blown solution. But if you did want a full-blown solution, it was really a pretty nice enhancement that does now sit out on AppSource that T-Tech Digital built. And what they built was an adapter to allow the Dynamics customer service kind of omni-channel capabilities or contact center capabilities to connect with 4 different leading workforce management providers. So T-Tech didn't write their own. They just said, look, Calabrio, Verint, NICE, and Alvaria, I think is how you say that. I'm not really sure. I'm not as familiar with them. I'm very familiar with the other 3.
Yeah.
It's not Alvaria. That's the tax people, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Just like so.
Yeah, I think Alvaria here is maybe for the workforce management. Well, however you say it, that those 4 are supposedly all pretty leading providers, and I know the first 3 are very much in the leading kind of category of providers of workforce management solutions. But even if you had bought that, then there was like this manual process to pull data from the contact center platform or push data back or just work offline, or there's a few different ways. But now with this adapter, we can have the real-time bi-directional pushing of data back and forth to, have the workforce management solution update the schedule that exists in customer service workspace and have work volumes push into the workforce management system automatically so that it's using that data to predict, okay, we're seeing an upswing in whatever it's needing to plan for, all that kind of stuff. So nice to know that's there. We're very much committed to continuing to make our API layer even more robust to make any workforce management solution easier to connect with more connection points to make them a more valuable combination. And who knows, we may in fact write our own workforce management solution at some point to just include in the product if you want to license it. But as of today, that doesn't exist. So we are very happy that T-Tech has helped us make that bridge a little bit easier and to let everyone know that it's certainly possible to use our solution with robust workforce management add-ons. So there we go. This last one is really just talking a little bit about the NRF show, the National Retail Foundation show that has been going on this week. I don't actually know where they held it this year, but the show has been going on this week, and we made some nice announcements about some things. Half of this is related to some of that marketing stuff that I was just talking about in our customer insights journeys capability, in that we have added a lot more AI-powered experiences and truly started re-architecting the basic design of how the platform brings things together to make it more closely match how many robust enterprise-grade marketing organizations actually work with putting things together. And I'll show you some images of that in just a minute. And then a lot of the rest of it is enhancements that we've made on the supply chain management side of things that also impacts retailers greatly for all this other stuff. And I'll quickly run through it, but I'm sure Dan may have some other context to throw around what some of that supply chain management stuff was. Anyway, yeah. For the customer engagement side of things with how we're helping marketers work, one of the things that we can say is you're going to treat any marketing sort of campaignish thing, if you will, depending on what you're trying to do, as some sort of project. So if you just describe it, then Copilot can go instantiate a shell with a lot of the right types of things included on it just by you kind of stating the goal and what you're trying to do. And from there, it makes this project board, which I think is really nice, where you've got all the kinds of things that you might need to do for tasks and audience preparation and project execution, what things are planning, what things are actually going to be sent to customers, how do we want to orchestrate all that, that a lot of those things are all put together in this project board to make it easier to think through the end-to-end marketing process that needs to be done to orchestrate the journeys on this project for this outcome that we're trying to seek. So nice to know that we're thinking about it a little bit differently and trying to stitch all those things together. The supply chain stuff, do you want to just talk to it, Dan, or you want me to quickly talk to it and then you add comments?
Yeah, I can just add some flavor to this. Go ahead, Bart.
Yeah, sounds good. So we had improved demand planning, and we've already talked about that on previous shows, that there are things that we just sort of reminded folks about in terms of our demand planning pieces. For other Copilot things that are out there to try to make sure that we are mitigating any disruptions, I think we've already talked a little bit about some of the purchase order change AI as well. And then we have even talked already about e-commerce descriptions being updated through sort of generative AI capabilities as well. So
we've talked about that with the site builder.
Honestly, this part of that is not any new news. It's just saying we're making another splash with the same news we've already announced on that part. So
hey, anyway. It still sounds cool to me, Bart.
There you go. So I think that wraps up all the stuff I planned to cover today.
All right. So let me share some of my content here, if you just bear with me for a second. So let me know when everything's good, Bart.
I'm seeing it.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So I don't have a ton of content here either. It's like there's some stuff on retail, which is good. So the National Retail Federation, it has historically been held in the second week in January at the Javits Center in New York City. That's traditionally where it's been held, Bart. So just FYI, a little bit of trivia for you. And actually, that's one of the largest, coverings of glass buildings there are in the United States. There's kind of a little trivia bit, right? So the first thing is HR. Now remember, a second, I've talked about this many, many times. We pulled the HR to make it as a standalone system, and we brought it back into the core, finance and supply chain platform is brought in. And it's like, so we've spent a lot of time integrating it and not a ton of new features, but we have created a new human resources app. And this human resources app will allow you to look up, any leave you have, any vacation time, edit, put that in, and the managers will be able to approve it. So it's just a simple app for the employees to get their leave and leave requests in there and to see what's available for that. So some instructions on how to do that from 10.0.36 is the minimum update to be able to do that. So anyways, just a little bit on HR, not a ton of new functionality, but hopefully it'll be dripping in there a little bit more. But not unlike what you were talking about, Bart, January is the big time for commerce. So there's a few things in commerce. So the first thing is on B2B commerce, and that's business to business commerce versus B2C commerce, which is business to consumer direct commerce. So what this allows you to do, if you have a bunch of distributors, on your site and you have a B2B channel, it allows you to have multiple channels with the respective sites on those channels. And each of those sites can have their own catalogs. But you can have an author, you can author the web pages all at once and then associate those as a default and then customize the individual channels as you want, right? But it'll also allow you to, so if you have one of your B2B customers buying on that with the different channels, it's like you might have different channels, maybe within different companies. What you can do is you can actually freely go in and purchase from the specific catalog for that channel, for that B2B customer, and mix across these different channels and have one unified cart on that. It'll also allow you to, with that, to allow resetting of that catalog when you actually switch those channels. So it's like, it doesn't go across those different catalogs. So they're automatically reset. So it's like, those are really nice features for that B2B channel on that. So we also enable controls over partners within the specific B2B channels, right? So you can say, it's like, okay, what customer can be on what channel and what's the hierarchy and who is the person within that customer hierarchy within that B2B channel. So historically, all the CE functions have been much better on the customer hierarchy side. This is kind of nice that we're actually doing this on the B2B side. It's like, what's a sub of another and who's associated with that channel hierarchy. So a small feature, but a real nice one, right? There's another one is like you can initiate orders on behalf of B2B partners. So if you're within the call center within the headquarters, let's not confuse this with the call center, which was within the CE, the customer engagement platform. That's very different. This is one that's within the headquarters, within the finance and supply chain. So within that call center, as like a call center operator or an employee within that can initiate transactions on behalf of the B2B partners, and it'll adhere to their catalogs for their channels that they have. So we can do that now. We can also capture leads, the prospect for your B2B customers. Now, again, this is within the finance and supply chain system, not within the CE. It will use dual rights so that we can sync up with that, but these are B2B customer opportunities. And then it's like, so they come to leads, you go through the lead process to actually turn those into customers where you can actually assign, inventory, pricing, catalogs, all those different things that you do. It's like, what channels they can be in and so on and so forth. Something else, Bart, that you actually, gave me, you gave me a primer for, right, is the Copilot for the product enhancement for the e-commerce site. So it'll help write the copy of those e-commerce sites. We've talked about that earlier, as Bart had mentioned. So not new, but it is officially released with this. Then it was pre-released before. Now it's going to be officially released on 10.0.38. There's also some
generally available, in other words. Yay.
Correct. Yeah, GA, exactly. Hooray for us. So there's also some order history search improvements. So now we can search on like the order number, the confirmation number, the origin, the channel origin, the due dates, and the order status, and all those different things. So it wasn't super easy out of the default to search on this. It just got a lot better. And the last thing's for the POS, the point of sale system. So you can always do with a single currency, you can actually start with a declaration amount, a tender removal amount, the finish, the float that you have on there, but it was always only in one currency. Now it'll allow you to do it in multiple currencies. So I'm going up to a place in northern Minnesota on the Canadian border, a place called War Road, Minnesota next week. And they'll actually take Canadian currency and US currency because they're right on the border, because it's like it's in the middle of nowhere. Anybody else shopping there is going to take Canadian dollars and the US dollar. So that's one of those places where, well, they'll need something like that. So quite a bit on the commerce side this time. So next thing is a little bit of fast track learning on this. Oops, I think I went a little early. Oh, okay, actually I went to the end of it, but I'll cover this anyway. So I always talk about what's available in fast track and the learning. So here's just the links, keep up to date. There's a virtual learning day next Monday, so which is MLK Day. We'll actually be off, but these are recorded. So always on features, fundamentals of CRM, different things. So again, keep up to date. with your learnings, because we're just throwing more stuff at you. And it's like, I heard a really interesting quote last week. And actually, like, I heard it before, but I hadn't I haven't recalled this in many, many years. It's like, it's by Alvin Toffler. And he goes, the future, the illiterate of the 21st century is not going to be the people who can't read and write. It's the people who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And I thought that was a really interesting quote from this guy that wrote these books in the 1970s. And I thought that's actually very true nowadays, because how fast technology is keeping up. So again, I encourage you to be a lifelong learner. That's kind of it's one of those values at Microsoft that we follow through. We live every day. The next thing is, it's like a resource-based non-stocked operations update. So remember, there's 3 different types. There's the light deployment, which is just simple project operations. There's the resource-based non-stocked, which uses the light operations for the project management, but all the budgeting and the invoicing and stuff from the D365 finance. And then there is the stock-based project operations. And eventually that's going to go away and only be the stock and resource base. But in the meantime, as we transition over that, it's like we have those 3. So first of all, for the non-stock, there's just couple little updates on this. So on the updates, there's first of all, there's one simple, it's the pro forma invoicing. So the pro forma invoice, let's just say you're doing a project for somebody and you have a crew out there and you have labor and time and fees and all these things you have to bill out. Well, usually the project manager looks through all of this and they do a pro forma before they send it to the customer to make sure the billing's correct. Well, oftentimes they might miss something, or somebody didn't put their time in or something like that, because employees are employees and they miss things, right? And so they'll have to do an edit on that. And before, you actually have to go through tens of thousands, or like lots of different lines for some of these, and then go back and change the whole thing and then rerun it. Now it's allowing you to do this with an individual line without having to go and process everything else. So that's actually a really, really nice feature for my project, my industrial equipment management users as well. So again, one simple thing, but that's a nice one. There's 2 things on the light deployment. The first thing is the pro forma, which we had before, but also project budget management workspace and some a summary within that. So it allows you to actually summarize and group up, okay, what's all in labor in this category, or maybe the material for maybe a different category or a different time period. But you can import that. It will summarize it so you don't have all the detail, but it'll adhere to that taxonomy for those. So you can actually summarize those budget lines. So that just makes it a whole lot easier just to kind of work with all of that data, but it's going to be fairly large. Now, let's see what else I got. Oh, what's new in Business Central? And they've changed the format for the last 2 updates. Now, normally I go in and I have to go into search and hunt and peck for these different things, but they've changed the what's new and what's up, like on the last version. So, and they just updated this one. So we'll talk about this in the next show, but most of the is just localization. So it's the Denmark with the NEM handle with the registration. So you actually have a centralized database. There's e-submission with a value added tax and returns onto that, suspending and deleting companies, the safety files, invoicing in NEM handle. And then enforcing the digital vouchers across that. We've talked about some other things on changes on previous ones. So e-connectors in the PEPL format across that. So all of that. So I know that we have lots and lots of customers in Denmark because this is the origination of the product, but we've been updating that in Business Central. So those are the updates within Business Central. Now, a couple things here, because I've covered the fast track training, but the business process performance planning overview documentation is actually complete, and that actually got completed on my birthday part. So if you want to send gifts next year, so you know it's December 18th and my son is the December 19th. That was a bad dad joke, by the way. So so this allows you to be able to pull, it uses the Dataverse, it uses all the power of the Dataverse to pull out all the data entities. And so it's an aggregation of all that in the collaboration set of tools. Now, what this allows you to do is, do all the planning, play what if scenarios and so on and so forth, using that power of the Dataverse. but it'll also allow you to create your own dimensions in cubes. Now, the cubes is like how we actually aggregate all that data, be able to slice and dice, and so it's coherent, so you'll be able to make heads or tails of that data. But there's also something called dimensions. Now, that's different from the dimensions that my finance people know. So you have the different financial dimensions or inventory dimensions, but this is from a data management perspective. So dimensions could be time, place, people, could be any dimension, right? Any field that you actually want to just be able to slice and manage that data. Could be an attribute or things like that. So just FYI, so this is now available. But why use data or like the business performance planning instead of just regular Power BI and data entities? Because you have security. So it adheres to the security of the individual using that data, and it's a lot easier to set up and it's a lot more performance. So this is the direction we're going with these huge data sets. So just FYI, the documentation is available. So take a look at it. And the last thing I have right here is that supply chain inquiry into inventory. So this has actually happened to be released on my son's birthday, my son Danny's birthday. So just in case anybody cared. So what you need for this is you need that inventory visibility service. And I've talked about the inventory visibility service for probably a couple of years, and that's allow you to go in and different divergent or extraneous systems within your ERP system to be able to pull that out. And that's what IOM uses to be able to pull all that inventory from these different 3PLs or different ERPs or our own ERPs. So, but what this one allows you to do is like you can ask a natural language query. And that natural language query converts that into the JSON, gets the answer, converts it back to a natural language, so you can actually feed it back to you. So, for instance, like, how much silver chronograph watch do we have in USMF? And it's like, here's the summary and here's the different locations. So it gives you all that information. So the nice thing is you can access it anywhere in the system by clicking on the Copilot sidecar on any screen that you actually embed this into. You can also develop this on your own. You can have you use the inventory visibility API and use that for any other system to be able to pull in. A couple things: it doesn't support the barcoding yet or categories. That will be coming. So if you actually just want to barcode and look that up, it's not, that interface is not there. It will be there, but the hard work is, the difficult big boulders are already moved already here. It also is best to use in US English, and of course we're going to expand that to all languages that that Microsoft allows out of the box that we have. A couple things also: you want to make sure you limit it to 20 rounds or less, just like you would with any ChatGPT session, because if you go more than 20 rounds, it's like you'd have to start a new session. So that's what you do. Also, as a caveat, manually review this and make sure you supervise this, because sometimes it's not entirely correct. It's not omniscient, right? It's just a helpful tool as ChatGPT is. So you can also use it through a third party. So I thought this is a really nice one. I mean, I wish we had as many as like on the CE platform, but we're catching up, and this is a really big one that we can use anywhere within the system of F&O. So that's what I have for any of my new components. So there's also some solution updates if you want to talk about that a little bit, Bart.
I always detail all of them in case people are using any of those solutions, but don't think I need to say a whole lot other than look through the list. If there's anything you are using, then you ought to go through and take the updates.
Yep.
I guess the one thing I will say there is, I think I may have even mentioned this on a past show, but I manage across a tenant where we've got hundreds of environments, and trying to keep them up to date is always a very tedious challenge. And I have discovered in Power Automate that there is a new version of the Power Platform admin connector that allows me, if I tell the system what update I'm wanting to go run, I can rifle through every environment in my tenant and force the update to happen across all of those through that API, where I used to actually have to use the mouse and keyboard and click and type and do everything one by one in each environment to do that. Or I even used RPA to help streamline that a little bit, but this API first way to do it is a significantly streamlined effort. So if you struggle with that as a tedious job in your environment, check out that new connector in Power Automate. The only thing that I'd say I had to learn when going through it is I needed to run a check of, does this solution exist in the environment I have run through in this iteration of the loop? If it doesn't exist, just go on to the next version, because otherwise you're going to install that solution in every single environment in your tenant that you just named. And I made that mistake on one of the solutions before catching myself. And so that's the only other tip I'd throw out there. Contact me if you need help in that area. And otherwise, we'll see everyone in a fortnight.
See everybody in 2 weeks. Take care, everybody.
Thanks.